The same way I can go to the Bible and point to that and say, well, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. What was we using before the Bible? What was our constitution? What was our religion? So what we're doing now is, since you have the floor as a doctor and giving us key information on how we should come together, now we're going into the Constitution or the history of what we were dealing with before there was a Bible. So we need you to actually move the Bible out of the way for us real quick and take us back to that religion that we were following in Africa. Take us back to our law. And what was the name of it? And give us that real quick, if you may.
Okay. Well, first of all, I would say that I did answer the question, and I didn't go around it. Second, I would say that it's important to understand that there's no law in the Bible that was not there before the Bible. From an African cultural historical perspective, the Bible is a plagiarized book because nothing in it is original. It simply borrowed from the spiritual cosmology that predated it. If you look at the laws of Moses, the Ten Commandments, those were borrowed, okay, from more than 142 positive confessions that come out of the Nile Valley spiritual code. So it's not to negate anything in the Bible, but to understand that the Bible is nothing more than a composite of pieces, okay, of spiritual doctrine that predated it. As far as what the religion was called, it's important to understand that really calling spiritual consciousness from an African context religion is inappropriate, because technically we had no religions. We had spiritual culture. So when we look at the spiritual science of Kemet, okay, of Asar and Aset and Asaru, that was a part of the culture of the people. It was not separate from their worldview. It was not separate from their family structure. It was not separate from the economic order. It was culture. So there was never a separate religion. So when you're born into the culture. You don't have to get baptized. You don't have to take a shahada.
It is just a space. It tries to upset you, anger you, try to imbalance your energy. They are not a friend. They are not a family. They are not an ally. They are a spiritual vampire who has come to steal your ashe. Don't let nobody steal your ashe. This is why we have to become spiritually and emotionally liberated. You cannot be spiritually liberated unless you are emotionally liberated. You cannot be spiritually liberated until you are emotionally liberated. You don't want to let negative emotions take over your life. If you allow the spiritual vampire in your space for too long, if you allow the spiritual vampires in your space for too long, they will suck your spiritual energy. Your ashe will be sucked. Anything that's not in them damn books is automatically considered the devil. Anything that's not in those books is automatically considered the devil. I don't have a problem with the religions, brothers and sisters. I don't have a problem with the religions, brothers and sisters. I have a problem with the limitations that religions put on their followers. Don't let nobody control your spiritual destiny. Don't let nobody control your spiritual destiny. Don't let nobody dictate your spiritual destiny. Don't let nobody dictate your spiritual destiny. What are you doing with white priests in African traditional spiritual circles? What are you doing with white priests in African traditional spiritual circles? What is wrong with us? The quickest way to a spiritual depletion is to lay down with a wounded soul sexually. I said the quickest way to a spiritual depletion is to lay down with a wounded soul. You have to meditate every day. You have to get quiet. Go into the sacred space of your inner self. You have to close the physical eye so your third spiritual eye will open. I said you have to close your two physical eyes so your third spiritual eye will open.
The most significant aspect of Shiva is that he opened his third eye. All the other things He danced, he meditated, married twice, did so many things. That's not the thing. He opened his third eye. It's only for that.
Man can no longer fall back on established religion as a sort of identity, a collective identity. And occultism is a sort of do-it-yourself God kit, in whatever form it takes, oriented towards personal power. As a result of this, those who could be accepted collectively simply by being Christians at one time, for example, now find that with automation, with advances in technology, that their roles as human beings are much
Quickest way to a spiritual depletion is to lay down with a wounded soul sexually. I said the quickest way to a spiritual depletion is to lay down with a wounded soul.
In order to attain a spiritual quality or some sort of communion with God, one must be purged of any carnal desires, and the only way to rid oneself of carnal desires is to release them fully. And of course the cliche in Russia.
And she need to get her cupcakes warmed up. And brothers, every once in a while, you need some cupcakes and cookies. Negative emotions take over your life. If you allow the spiritual vampire in your space for too long, if you allow the spiritual vampires in your space for too long, they will suck your spiritual.
No yoga is going to liberate African people. No meditation is going to liberate African people. No prayer, no protest, no vote.
IFA. It's Ifa Tunde. I was named Ifa Tunde on November the 18th, Oyotunji African Village, Chief Olaitan, rest in paradise, Ifa Tunde Ogun Tade. Because I'm destined to be a priest and I am a son of Ogun. I am destined to be a priest and I am a son of Ogun. I am destined to be a priest and I am son of Ogun.
Oyotunji Yoruba African Village is one of its kind in North America today, in that it's the only African village with a king, with queens, with king's wives, with chiefs, a school, a library, and all of those good things. Oyotunji was figured to be a monastery of sorts for the reconfiguration, the restoration, and of course researching our traditional African culture, the descendants of West Africa. Because as we know, a people without their culture are lost. We continue to live by our purpose and our mission, which is to remain a crucible for the study of African culture, and we also want to research and restore our culture and supply our findings to the public. The future of Oyotunji remains relevant in that we continue to educate, we continue to cater to all of those quote-unquote searching souls, or those who are soul searching, looking for their ancestors and who they are.
Sisters, I don't do the work. The ancestors stand me up while the Most High works through me. I said the ancestors stand me up while the Most High works through me. Now let me get real serious real quick.
The shrine of the royal ancestors. So this is where his ancestors are entombed, and we come and we give them candles and we give them light and we give them water. So this is the shrine of the royal ancestors. And we say in Yoruba culture, we say if you stand tall, it's because you stand on the shoulders of those who came before. And that goes for anybody. So if you are an upstanding person, and the gods are not necessarily concerned with your morality, your morals, and your character actually comes from your family. You know, like we all believe in God, but you know, in a certain energy, God is not necessarily there to say don't do that, don't steal that, you know. Yeah. But you know, Granddaddy said don't do that, because if you come home,
if I'm trying to build a relationship with the Most High God, first of all, I don't have to be taught morality. Morality is put in your soul when you come into this world. An aspect of God is within you. That's the God within. as Jesus said, the temple of God is within. That's within you. Morality is in you. You know when you're doing right and you know when you're doing wrong. You don't necessarily have to be taught that. That is a basic human attribute. But in building a relationship with God consciousness, I don't need to believe that Jesus was the Son of God. And I don't not need to believe it. I don't need to believe in Abraham. I don't need to believe in
steal our spirituality. Even African spirituality isn't sacred. There is nothing in Black America that is hands off.
Unfortunately, we are not allowed to go back there. This is the Afin, the dwelling place of the king, his sisters, his wives, which you guys say plural. He does have several. So we are a polygamous society.
What are your views on polygamy? Okay. Now, you want to get me in trouble with the ladies, Tamir. Tamir donated $5, so he's entitled to have his question answered. What are your views on polygamy? Tamir, let me say it this way. In America, in the United States of America, if we married every able-bodied Black man to every able-bodied Black woman, there would be 2 million Black women left without a husband.
Everyone needs to be polygamous. No woman wants to share her husband. But if you look at our situation, to not have a conversation, a serious and responsible conversation about polygamy without enough men to go around, then you're going to constantly see the withering away of Black sisterhood. When I look around at Black women, one of the biggest issues I see.
They like family to me. I was not dating a young sister. She was too young for me. She was graduating from undergrad. I was friends with the whole family. They invited me
across a lot of beautiful Black women. Excellent choices for wife. But the reason I'm slow to choose is because I know that for a lot of women, they will love the package. He's a PhD, he's self-employed, he's building a school, he's extremely popular. I know he can take care of me. But you're not looking at the other side. That this man is walking the same path as a Marcus Garvey, as a Malcolm X, as a Mega M's. He might not come home tomorrow. Everything he got may be taken. Are you getting with Dr. Umar to help him achieve his mission? Or are you getting with Dr. Umar?
I saw a fake and I pointed out a fake. And it was just that simple. Now this person has decided to turn this into a personal battle. And that's fine. That's their choice to do. They've decided to be vindictive and be malicious, you know. But I'm here to let you know I'm not participating in that.
Our first queen to be buried here is Mama Keke. Mama Keke met with the original of our in Harlem, and she was actually from Cuba. And she started as a shake dancer. She was a child of Oshun. So she started in a burlesque club, and she found her Afro-Latina roots. And she proceeded to be a priestess of Oshun, very well-known, very well-respected. So she's buried here. So she started in a burlesque club. And
because she had confessed to me about what her nighttime career was, that I had dropped her without any notice. I think she thought I had dropped her without any notice and had picked up this young Spellman.
His wives, but you guys say plural. He does have several. So.
Traditional American society does not accommodate our social needs, nor our educational needs, nor our financial needs, and certainly not our spiritual needs.
At Oyotunji, spiritual needs are fulfilled with a host of traditional rituals and celebrations.
If you spend all of your time surviving, you have no time to live. And here, this is the option, to learn to live. The message is coming through loud and clear that Africa is our origin, our base, and perhaps our salvation.
We have people from all different walks of life. We have the PhDs. We have the people that have lived in America and been in, and I quote, what you call successful.
Even lawyers, doctors, religious men, reverends, preachers have all come through that gate.
Newcomers and those born in the village are initiated at the Eshu Ogon or Shushi festival, but first they have to pass a series of tests.
The thing that you have...
Lifetime was a professor in Detroit, master mathematician. Actually, he was scientifically known as a genius. That's the energy of Chief Olayton. Chief Olayton taught us math, which I still don't get it. I used to tell Chief all the time, like, look, I can count money, but all that A, B, and X and Z, you're killing me right now.
What time is it right now, brothers and sisters? What time is it? It is time
to hit the Cash App.
You have to be taught morality. Morality is put in your soul when you come into this world.
They cloak it in forms of false altruism or false morality. They feel that there's so much repressed aggression and repressed hostility that is never allowed to manifest itself because of teachings such as turn the other cheek, that it has made man an intrinsically vicious creature.
I looked up King Adefumi. I came across this article from People magazine from 1981 called King or Con Man, the controversial ruler of Yoruba, South Carolina, is really just Walter from Detroit. And in this article, a couple of highlights, they talk about the culture that they created, and some things that I noticed. Before he went on this Africa mission, he was married to a white woman. And when I went and I looked up this white woman, who her name was Jan DeVry, Jan DeVry seemed to be really into spirituality, shamanism, etc., right? So that may mean nothing, right? But in most of those circles, Anton LaVey and Blavatsky and Godfrey Ray King are all people who kind of float around in that circle. So if we have Umar going to get initiated by one of the priests down there at this African village, and then he comes back up sounding like a New Ager, does it stand to reason that King Bufumi got some spiritual ideas from his white ex-wife and then kind of made a composite with some African iconography and ideas? Now, that may not be wrong per se, but here's the thing. When we have a body of work of a bunch of made-up things, right, fantastic ideas that religion tells us that we have to have faith in, what stops someone else from making up their own fantastic ideas and telling people to have faith and send donations? I'm just saying. It might be something we need to think about. Because
And that the Bible is nothing more than a composite of pieces, okay, of spiritual doctrine that predated it. As far